Alright, yeah, so the timer starts on when I move Mario on the overworld map. Again, we're just going through worlds 1 through 8 without using cannons. And also, just a heads up, before this run, I set up a manipulation for RNG that basically allows. So in World 1, there's a Goomba on the overworld map that can get in your way. Basically, it sets up the Goomba to where it gets in a position to where you can always avoid it before the run.
Yeah.
Alright, I think I'm ready to go. If you want to give me a countdown.
Alright, I'll do it. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright. See what happens.
Alright, so yeah, like you said, this is Cannonless, which is basically, as you just saw, Streetcar did warpless, and it's basically the same idea of you're not really allowed to use any warps that are shortcuts through the game. For reference, the 80% category in this game is just under 24 minutes long, so this adds considerable length to the game. So yeah, as you can guess, it's a pretty different category from 80%. But the very general idea of the category is to get the propeller in this level right here, which we'll be trying to get with a strat here. That's actually a pretty hard strat there that he got, getting that propeller with the shell. Usually you try to get it early in the level, which is a little bit slower. So the fact that he got it in a marathon is really nice, because that can go wrong. And he's going to be keeping his power-up for most of the run. There will be a few spots where he gets a different power-up or loses it intentionally. But for the most of the run, he's going to be keeping his power up, which also means if he does lose it, he will lose a lot of time, which he's really going to try to avoid. So for the first 2 levels, it's actually going to be a 1-to-1 with any percent, but starting in the 3rd level here is where the run diverges. One thing you might notice instantly is he's actually sliding down these slopes. So in this game, slopes have varying degrees of steepness. Some are very shallow, some are pretty steep. Generally, the rule of thumb is if a slope is less than 45 degrees in steepness, you want to be sliding down it because that's just faster than running. But if you have a star, it's actually best just to run down it, which is, you'll be seeing him get a star in a few levels, but the star basically just increases your movement speed and makes Mario invincible, which makes this section way easier and faster. And with those tiltable platforms, right there, that only really appears in this level. But the general idea of them is you want to tilt very slightly so you get that boost I was talking about from steep slope, or a shallow slope, my bad. And that he used that to the level, but you're not going to see those anymore for the rest of the run. So, yeah. So yeah, here's 1-3. So this is the very first level that differs from any percent. Normally in any percent, you take the secret exit, which then leads to the World 1 cannon, which lets you go to World 5. But we're not allowed to take cannons, so he's going to be going through the regular exit, which actually is a little more difficult than the normal one, or the secret one, because at the very end of the level there are 2 Hammer Bros that are completely luck-based, and if you get really unlucky and you're not fast enough, you can actually get hit, which is really bad, because the next level is a vertical level. So not having the propeller suit, which allows you to make very quick vertical movements, is just, it loses a lot of time, especially if you don't know how to back it up very well. So he's going to really try his best. He might play it safe here. I'm not sure, though. I'll see. Okay, so he didn't really play it safe, but he got lucky, and he made it through without getting hit, so that's good. So now we're coming into 1 tower. So this is the first level that's completely not in any percent. And this is a very vertical level. As you might know, that this game has the tower levels, which are all vertical levels. And this one is the first one. There's actually a cycle here called Soik Cycle, which is pretty hard to hit. But it's very low risk, so he's almost certainly going to go for it. Although if he messes up at the very end of it, he could get crushed. But luckily it's right before a propeller block, so it's not that bad. So we'll see if he gets it. If he does get it, that'd be really cool. But if he doesn't get it, that'd be unfortunate. But before that, he's going to the Star House, so basically, when you go to a Star House, you can get a star for free. And what these stars do is, if you use them on the overworld, you can run through obstacles like the overworld enemies, and you also start the next star the next level you enter, you'll start with a star, which is going to be useful later. So here's 1 tower here. Okay, so he got the LCK there. That's a good start. Basically, if you crouch jump into a block and you get the right side of it. It's kind of weird to explain, but if you do that, you get a kick like that. It's pretty hard, and he got the swing cycle, so that's not an easy cycle to hit, by the way. That's a very difficult cycle. So the fact that he got it in marathon, this is really good. So this one's already off to a good start. Oh, that was unfortunate though. Also, you might have noticed there that he did. It looked like he landed really quickly on that swinging platform at the very end. If you drill down with the propeller suit, right as you're landing on a semi-solid platform, the frame window actually depends on the platform type. Some of them are much more lenient, but the general idea is you drill down right before you land, and you'll very quickly snap to it, and that's called an instant land, and it makes vertical movement a little faster. So, like right there, he did the same time. You can do it in quite a few places, but most of the time you're not going to see him doing it because it's probably not worth it, because it's very, very difficult, and if you go too early, you'll just drill down and lose a lot of time. So, yeah, that's just a little small movement tech. So here he's going to be going to 1-4. This is the first water level of the game. So water levels, usually you want to be Penguin Mario for, but obviously we can't get Penguin Mario up to this point without using a cannon. And we can't use cannons, so he's not going to have Penguin Mario. Also, it'd not be really worth it to go out of your way to get it. So he's basically just going to... You can't really speed up swimming other than not touching the ground and not getting hit, obviously. But it is faster to jump out of the water. So you can see him jumping out the water whenever he possibly can, because your movement speed in the air is much faster than when you're in the water like this. So the general idea of this level is to get out of the water as soon as possible and for as long as possible without losing any time. Here's a very, very difficult spin to save some time, and he got it. So that spin right there is much harder than it looks because of how small the window is to actually get the spin off. And if you don't know, this game spins, which is, you know, when he either does like a twirl in the air or with the power suit, does this right here where he like spins up. That is a motion input where you have to shake the Wiimote, which makes doing them with precision extraordinarily difficult, and the game can also sometimes delay or just drop them entirely. Because this game actually has input delay. Like it's really weird, but it's like input delay in the game that people have noticed, and it definitely can make switching between games pretty difficult. But once you've gotten used to it, it's pretty small, and you can generally play around it. Now, one thing that's present in other games, but not this one, are fireworks. So normally in other games, if you finish the level ending with the same 2 digits, or in the case of SMB1, ending with a 3, 6, or 9, I believe, don't quote me on that, you actually get fireworks. And in this game, fireworks will only appear if you're using multiple players in the level with the same digits, but that doesn't actually apply in single player, so he'll never have to worry about it. Right there, that Goomba is completely luck-based where he goes, and if you get really unlucky, you can lose like upwards of 10 to 20 seconds or even more. But right there, he got perfect luck, which is the first 50-50. He won the coin flip, so he didn't lose any time to RNG there. So this run's pretty good. 1-6 is one of the a very, very simple level. Other than these rolling hills, where if you have good movement on them, you can kind of preserve some of the speed they give you from moving to the right. Other than that, there's not really much to this level. It's a very simple and easy level. So yeah, that's 1-6. So coming up is 1 castle. So the 1 castle's decently difficult. It's not too hard. Like it's not a real big run killer, but there are things that can go wrong. And there is a crouch jump at the very end, which is pretty hard, but it's pretty low risk. So BigCheese is almost certainly going to go for it. And we're going to see our first castle boss. So every world has 2 or 3 bosses. Some of them have airships, but a castle and a tower boss. And generally the castle bosses have some unique twist to them, where it's, you know, the tower boss, but a little harder, my bad. And with this one, it's going to be these platforms moving up and down. But the way that the boss moves is always consistent, so he's going to be using that fact to position himself and know when to time each hit. So there's not any luck to this boss at all, which is really nice. Let's see if he gets the crouch here. Oh, he didn't get it, unfortunately. But yeah, so if you do a crouch there, it's pretty tight, but it is a little faster if he gets it, so... unfortunately he didn't get it, I don't think. So now, one thing you notice there is that when he entered that door, he actually entered the door a little later than you'd expect. Most of the time in speedruns, you probably expect to try to open the door as soon as possible. But in this game, the way doors work is, imagine in the middle of the door, there's a rectangle, which is not, I'm not really sure exactly how wide it is, but if you enter in the middle part of the door, you'll actually instantly enter the door, but if you touch it from too far to the left, too far to the right, you'll actually have this animation of Mario walking. And that animation of Mario walking is slower than him running. So you're going to see him try to enter a little closer to the middle of the door. For basically every door in the game. Although you don't want to go too early, because if you go too early and you get the walking animation, it's not a really, it loses a little bit of time. And right there you saw the way the key works is that you actually have to land on the ground, and Mario has to walk after grabbing the key when he lands, and it's a little slow. So what he does is he actually wall jumps and then gets the key and lands really close to the far right side. So that explains why he did that like kind of weird movement at the end. Instead of just drilling up and drilling back down and get the key as fast as possible, it's faster to do that wall jump. So coming into World 2, this is where we're going to see our first secret exit. So this category is not no secret exits. You're allowed to take secret exits. You just can't take cannons. And there is one that skips over a level and the overworld enemies right in front of the castle. So he'll be taking that secret exit. But first, there's actually a split path here, and you can do 2-1 or 2-2. But 2-1 is a lot faster than 2-2, so we're going to see him picking that option. There's actually a jump that looks pretty easy, but it's actually really hard to do in this level that he probably will do, because it's not too hard, but it is much harder than it looks. But it's also pretty risky, because if you mess up even a little bit, you can very easily get hit. And getting hit here loses a decent amount of time. So let's see if he goes for it. Okay, so he went for it and got it. So that jump right there is not as easy as it looks. It's not too hard, but it's pretty easy to mess up, and he messes up in basically any way, you just get hit, and that's very, very big time loss, which is why it's so scary. But BigCheese has done it hundreds of times, so for him it's probably not that hard. Yeah. So we're coming up on 2-3. 2-2 is a level on the right, so that's why it's not 2-2, it's 2-3. And this level is another level with a star. But this level is actually interesting because there is a chain star. So something that you might have not ever noticed playing casually is there are certain blocks that will normally just give you a coin, but if you have a star active, it will actually spawn another star. And that actually appears in this level. Which means if he somehow messes up too much and he doesn't make that block with the star, he'll actually lose a lot more time than it looks because he won't be able to get another one. So he really needs to make sure that he doesn't mess up anywhere between getting the first star and getting the second star. But luckily the movement is not too hard, so hopefully it doesn't happen, but you never know. So yeah, it's this block right here. So this block, if you don't already have a star, that block will spawn a coin. So that means losing out on a star is, like, if you mess up before that point and you lose your star, it loses a lot more time than what you'd think from just playing the game casually. So now we're heading into 2 towers. So unlike 1 tower, this level doesn't really have a cycle where it's like you're hard locked behind it. So basically the way the level works is there's these grates that you have to grab onto, and they are on a cycle, but if you mess up, you're probably not going to lose all that much time because you can probably just do the level a little bit differently than how you expect it to, which is why messing up is a little bad, but when you practice the level a lot and you're really good at backing it up, it probably won't be that big of a deal. So yeah, this is also very different from the first level because it's almost entirely just going upwards. There's very little horizontal movement in this level, as you can see. So yeah, that door actually, you can actually enter that door. Remember how earlier I was talking about how the doors you want to try to enter towards the middle. You can actually enter that door with the fast animation, but it's really, really risky, and there's a very good chance to get hit by that dry bone. So players usually intentionally open the door a little earlier. So that was probably intentional. I highly doubt he really was going for an RTA door completely there. So this boss fight is very basic, like the first one. You just kind of hit him and then wait, and then hit him and then wait, and then once he comes out, you hit him one more time. So yeah, these tower boss fights are mostly very simple and there's nothing really to them. But the next level is actually a cycle-based level. So this level, there's wind that is pushing you to the right, and if you don't have the wind in your favor when you need to go up to the secret exit, you basically have to wait for the next cycle, which is a lot of time. So he's gonna have to play this level really fast if he wants to make the cycle. So yeah, like this level's also not too easy. There's a few spots where you can mess up pretty easily. The cycle is fairly lenient at a top level, but there is still a lot of things that can go wrong and make you miss it. So far he's off to a good start. Okay, so that's the hard part. As long as he doesn't mess this part up. Alright, yeah, he got it. So yeah, that's fast 2-4. Right there you saw him actually crouch jump into that pipe. So basically, like with doors, you can also enter pipes a little faster. So when you crouch jump into a pipe, the top half of Mario's body is actually already completely in the pipe, which makes the animation a little faster than if you just jump into it regularly. So anytime there's a vertical pipe that he can crouch jump into, you're gonna see him be doing that. And that's useful for a decent amount of spots throughout the run. So here we're coming up on the first auto-scroller. 2 Castle is basically entirely an auto-scroller until the boss fight, where you have to pick the correct paths. They're not random, so he already knows the right paths to pick. It's just basically just waiting around the level. So this level is kind of boring. But you still don't want to get hit here because, you know, it's not good to get hit. So sometimes if you get so bored that you start messing around a little bit too much, you can just get hit. But that's really the only risk in this level. Alright, yeah, so there's 3 different paths to take. This is the second one, and then the third one. This is also a spot where you can maybe mess up a little bit if you hit this P-switch too early. You actually will have to repeat a cycle, which will lose a decent amount of time. But aside from that, this level's basically risk-free. So the end here, the goal is to open the door as early as possible. The screen actually moves not at the same speed as you, so it's actually not as easy as just holding right and run. You actually have to make sure that you start running at the right time and open the door as soon as possible. Like there, he went too early, so he bounced off the wall. Because for some reason, if you go too fast, you just bounce off the wall. So this is the Roy fight. So this is actually RNG. There is actually a strat to remove the RNG, but is incredibly difficult, and it's very risky because you're very likely to get hit. So he probably won't be doing it. And the way it works is that he will randomly choose how many times to spawn out of the pipe. Luckily, it doesn't max out, or it does max out, so it's not like you can lose too much time. So, okay, so that's not that bad. So he had second try right there. Usually, sometimes you can lose quite a few seconds to this guy, which at a world record hold level in these kind of categories is really bad. Especially in shorter categories like No World 5, where that can just basically kill your run. So like with the first key, he's going to try to make an effort to get as close to the right as possible after grabbing it, because that's just optimal. And now we're going into World 3. So in World 3, the game really wants you to grab the Penguin power-up because it's the ice world, it's introduced at the start of the level, and Penguin slides really well on ice. But mainly because of a few levels at the end of World 3, like 3 Tower and 3 Castle, the Penguin loses a lot of time to have, so he's not going to be getting it, and instead he's going to use the propeller suit. So now, the start of World 3 is pretty easy. 3-1 and 3-2 are generally not that big of run killers. I mean, sometimes you can get hit in like 3-2, but for the most part, they're pretty easy. But 3 Tower can be pretty difficult and weird sometimes. So hopefully he doesn't mess that level up. So 3-1 is a very hold right level. There's very little that you have to slow down for or optimize here. It's kind of just running to the right and not making any mistakes like getting hit or bonking on anything. A very minor optimization is that when you're sliding down the icy slopes in this game, it's actually faster to let go of the D-pad while you're sliding. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but it does speed you up. It is a little faster than just sliding down them without pressing down. Right there, you saw him wall jump off that pipe. So it's actually faster from a standstill to wall jump than to try to accelerate with running, because you basically get almost instantly top speed when you come out of a wall jump. So you're gonna see him doing that anytime he comes from a standstill, and there's something that he can wall jump off from very close to him. So yeah, this is a very, very basic level. Other than that, that letting go of down optimization, that's really the only thing that makes that level any difficult.
Mario time.
So now we're coming up on 3-2. 3-2 is a level that's has some small parts where you can maybe get hit, but for the most part, it's not a very difficult level. There's a lot of bullet bills in this level that can hit you, but for somebody like BigCheese, he's probably not going to get hit here, but he could. There's a very. It's not like it's a completely free level, like I was saying. So yeah, and then there's going to be an ice bro here that he's going to jump over, but there's really not that much to say about this level. It's kind of a straightforward level. He does get a star here though, which is kind of cool. The ending also is a little weird, but this level is a very, very straightforward. Oh, okay, well, that's unfortunate. I guess one of the very first mistakes of this run that lose a decent amount of time. So yeah, that can also happen. Trying to just land on a one block platform with a star is actually pretty hard. Because of how much speed you have, it can be pretty hard to do it without slowing down or stopping, as you saw there. Undershot it. But luckily he didn't get hit, so that only lost him a few seconds. So here's 3 Tower. 3 Tower is another cycle-based level, but it's not, like I said, like it's not like the first one where it's like it can lose you a lot of time and there's like a hard spot where you get stuck. But you can lose a little bit of time, and it can be a little difficult to play if you have a bad cycle. So there he used a star because he needs to kill those ice bros. You actually can get past them without using a star, but it's very, very unlikely. And you also, one really small thing is that if you killed both the ice bros there, as you saw he did, because he got lucky, you actually save a little bit of time, because after each level, if there's an overworld enemy present, it will actually do some movements. But because they're both dead, that won't happen after beating this level. So it's a very small time save, but it is a nice one to get. So here's his more propeller movement here. So yeah, these things are on like a cycle. That was a pretty solid 3 Tower. That ending was a little unfortunate, but yeah. So here is Lemmy. So another small optimization is that it's actually faster when you start on ice from a standstill to jump rather than run, because of the ice physics. You accelerate faster in the air than on the ice. So you're gonna see that for the very, very few times that he starts from a standstill on ice, he'll actually jump and start moving, which I think really might only happen like 2 or 3 times throughout the whole rest of the run. I think it's going to be 3-4, but I could be wrong. So now we're coming into 3-4. So this level is actually possible to. This might have the biggest potential time save in the whole run. There is a strat on this level which is absurdly difficult called switch skip. I think BigCheese is currently the only person to have done it as a human, but I'm not 100% sure about if anybody else has done it since he's done it. But he was the first person to do it as a human, so he can do it if he really needed to. But it's really bad if you miss it because you lose propeller and you just waste all the time setting it up and dying. So there's almost no chance that he does go for it. So yeah, these moving platforms are a little bit interesting because the way that they work is they actually will like drag you back with them and you jump off of them. So you're actually gonna see him crouch jump, and then in midair he's gonna uncrouch, and that's gonna like kind of help him reduce the speed he loses to the platform, pushing him to the left. He'll also try to like use the momentum of them going to the right. Oh, that's unfortunate right there. This is another cycle-based level, but the cycles are not that bad. So there's actually a star he wants to get there. Normally, there's a way of getting that pretty consistently, but because he slowed down on those ice platforms, he had to stop for a second to make sure that he didn't lose out on it. And there, unfortunately, he got stuck again. And that was unfortunate, so... a few unfortunate bonks, but other than that, it could have been worse. So now we're going to 3-5. So this is a vertical level. You would be if you do switch skip, you would be able to skip playing 3-4 twice and also skip this level. But without doing it, he's obviously not going to do a trick like that. This level is weird because it's supposed to be an auto scroller, but the auto scrolling only happens if you land on that block down there. So if you don't land on it, it's not an auto scroller. It's really weird how they did that. So he doesn't have to wait for the auto scroll and he'll just climb the level like this. So yeah, that was a good 3-5. So now he's gonna go and replay 3-4. This is the exit he'd take if he did switch skip earlier, but obviously he's not doing switch skip, so he's gonna have to play the level again. Not much is different from the first time, other than the fact that there's these red blocks that he's gonna be able to use, which makes the level a little more safe because there's some spots where if you fall and die, you won't if the red blocks are there. Yeah, as you can see, he's just able to go over the top of all these sections. Unfortunately, he got stuck there again. BigCheese is not having the best time in 3-4 right now with these bunks, but at least he hasn't got hit yet. So yeah, you can just run down here. You don't have to worry about going over the top. Alright, so we're coming up on 3 Castle. So 3 Castle is one of the most scary levels in the game because it has a very, very difficult trick in it that saves a lot of time. And also just because even disregarding that trick, it's still not a very easy level. There's still a lot that can go wrong, and you spend a lot of level in the air above very dangerous spikes and pits, so you really don't want to make any mistakes or else you're probably going to die. And dying in this level is really, really bad because you can't do the trick at the very end of it, and the level without propeller is really, really slow. So he's going to try his absolute hardest not to die here. Okay, so there's the first room. That room is very simple and short, but this room is where it starts to become a little scary. So he actually can't really like skip this entire section. He actually has to wait for this snake block. He can't just like propel and spin to win to the end of the section. He will be able to do that after this though. He has to only ride this block for a little bit. He can skip a large portion of it right here. Yeah, that was a good first section. As you can see, if any of that went wrong, he would have just gotten hit or died, which would have been really, really unfortunate. So this second room, he has to basically, you have to blow up some of these ice cubes, I guess is what you call them. And the fastest way to do that is, as you saw, is to use the first 2 rounds to spawn and then use this bomb. And what you want to do is you want to try to touch that snake block as soon as possible because it doesn't actually start moving until Mario touches it. So you want to touch it as soon as possible. And here's a skip. This is a very difficult clip here. He missed it the first time, unfortunately. Okay, he got the second time. Okay, so second try is pretty good. So here's the second Lemmy fight. The whole gimmick of this fight is that he spawns on top of a really big ball. But you can just basically just jump, like just spin over him and hit him, and then the second and third hits don't really make a difference because you just hit him before he can even spawn. So this is a very simple fight with not really much to it. I should mention that he knows exactly where he's going to pop up for all the bosses, so there's no guesswork or him praying. He can just stand in a certain spot and he'll always hit him in the same spot. So yeah, that's the World 3. So World 4 is basically going to be a lot of penguin. So the way the penguin power-up works is it actually has faster horizontal movement than the propeller mushroom. It's actually faster to slide with the penguin than it is to run as Mario. So you're gonna see him get the penguin, but you also swim much faster, and there are some levels where having faster swimming is really vital. It's also worth mentioning that there's something called fishless, where he can actually basically this fish has a 1 in 6 chance of letting you buy him completely scot-free. Yeah, unfortunately there you saw him shake his head. You can actually tell if you have the chance to get him because right here he has to spawn in a certain spot. And then after he spawns in that spot, he has a 50-50 chance of jumping again after 4-1. And if you win the 1 in 3 and then win the coin flip, you actually get by him without having to take the encounter. But unfortunately, he didn't get the 1 in 3, so he's gonna have to fight that fish. So here's the first penguin movement, as he's gonna be sliding whenever he can, because it's much faster that way. Penguin also can shoot ice balls, which is a little useful, but a majority of Penguin's usefulness comes from its movement. It's really basically just the ice flower, but much better. I'm honestly not too sure why the ice flower, like you'd even use the ice flower when you have this power up. So yeah, this is a very, very, very straightforward level. It's basically just have good penguin movement and not much else to it. So 4-2, well actually he has to fight the fish first because the fish give him bad luck, and this is the only overworld encounter that you absolutely have to fight. At least in this category. There's some other categories and circumstances where you do have to fight other ones, but in this situation at least, this is the only one he's gonna have to fight. Or actually, not. I'm sorry. I think I'm just. Excuse me. I think I'm just yapping right now. But just know that this fight is RNG if you have to fight him or not. And basically the goal is to get all the balloons as fast as possible. So we're coming to another level, which is basically just have good penguin movement. And if you have good penguin movement, that's basically a lot of World 4 is just have good penguin movement. If you have good penguin movement, you'll be really good at World 4. If you don't have good penguin movement, you probably won't be very good at World 4. Which is why some people don't like this world. Some people really don't like penguin movement. They like just holding right and running, as opposed to having to do all these difficult jumps and slides and all that nonsense. Which, I mean, I guess I can understand. It is pretty annoying sometimes when the penguin suit does not cooperate with you. So here he's actually getting a star. With the star, it's actually not faster than the penguin slide. You just want to run, so that's why you're seeing him do that. And yeah, so that's another very penguin movement level. Also, it's actually a little faster to slide into the flagpole, because your hitbox extends a little forward when you're sliding, and you grab the flagpole a little faster. So coming up here is 4 tower. So this is another vertical level, but there's actually a lot of horizontal movement in it. It's kind of like you go left and right a lot while also going upwards, which is why having penguin doesn't lose all that much time compared to propeller, like it does in all the other towers. So here he has to wait another cycle, but that's like at the very beginning of the level. Oh, unfortunately he missed that. That's actually deceptively difficult right there. Trying to slide into that pipe, sometimes you just don't go into it. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of him shooting ice balls when he's jumping off these conveyor belts. So in this game, whenever you shoot an ice ball, it actually just completely resets your momentum. So you basically can remove all the backwards like momentum that the conveyor belts are trying to give you by shooting the ice ball and jumping. So you're gonna be seeing him do that whenever he needs to go against the conveyor belt. Now this part right here is RNG. Right there, this spawner right there that spawned a big block, that can spawn either blocks that are basically I'm not too sure exactly how tall they are. Oh, this is a really cool strat there that you unfortunately missed. Basically, it can either spawn tall blocks, which are twice as tall as the shorter blocks, and if they spawn a tall block, you have to wait. It's completely RNG, but as you saw there, it gave him a small block instantly, so he didn't lose any time to that, which is really good. You can lose a lot of time there if it spams you with a bunch of taller blocks. So here's another tower fight. As you know, they're all very simple. You just run, jump, hit them, and then stand in a certain spot, wait, and then rinse and repeat. Nothing really too much to say about this. Now we're heading, after this, we're going to a water level, a completely underwater level. So this level is not a very fun level if you don't have the penguin suit, because you have to very slowly swim through it, and it can be kind of hard to avoid the bloopers and other enemies that are after you. But with penguin, this level is much faster. Like this might be one of the a level that you really want to have penguin for, because otherwise you lose a lot of time to slower swimming. So he's gonna really want to try to keep penguin. There are backups in this level, luckily, if he does lose it. But he's gonna try not to lose it, and knowing him, he probably won't. But at the same time, you never know. This level really is just not very nice, and I don't think many people like this level, myself included. So yeah, as you can see, if you remember how slow he was swimming in 1.4, as you can see, he is swimming significantly faster in this level with penguin suit. Which is kind of a shame that we can't get a penguin suit before 1.4. Like, that'd be really cool if we could do 1.4 with penguin maybe, but there's other reasons why. If you'd also have to lose your propeller, so that probably wouldn't be that good anyway. So yeah, as you can see, he's basically just swimming and avoiding the bloopers. This is another very straightforward level. It's just swim, avoid the bloopers, and yeah, you get a star right here. So that makes the end of the level much easier because you don't have to worry about getting hit. You can just spam swim. Swim to win. Alright, so the next level he'll be playing is going to have a secret exit that he'll be taking to skip a level. And he's also going to be going to the star house because he wants to have stars that he can use to skip overworld enemies and also make the level a little faster. So this is the first ghost house of the run. And basically these boo houses are usually what they do is they're supposed to be like confusing puzzle levels where you're supposed to figure out where to go and all that. But obviously we already know where to go. So he's just going to be going straight to the secret exit, and yeah, he's gonna be taking the secret exit, which will skip the next level that he'd normally have to play otherwise. So that's why he's doing that. So the next level is 3 castle or 4 castle. So this level is actually the first time he's gonna take intentional damage. Because he doesn't really need penguin suit anymore for the rest of the level he'll be playing. So if you like penguin movement, unfortunately this is the last you'll see of it for the rest of the run, unless he somehow makes a huge mistake and decides to get it or something. But bar any crazy circumstances, that should be the last time we see the penguin suit. So yeah, he's gonna get a star here that he'll use later to just to save time. Really, that's the main reason why you get it. And he's gonna be going to 3 castle. So 3 castle is another very penguin movement oriented level. So most of the first part, like the first room of the level, is just penguin movement, and then there'll be swimming. It's basically just like a penguin level. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of it's just a penguin movement level. I think it's the best way to describe it. And then he'll, like I said, he'll intentionally get hit. You'll see why when we get there. If you're wondering why he's jumping out of the penguin slide, the penguin slide actually slows down considerably when you're on the ground with it. So he can't just like penguin slide the whole level. He actually has to jump to cancel it. Otherwise, he'll lose all of his speed. Oh, unfortunate. Some unfortunate things there. So, yeah. So now he's gonna be doing some swimming, and then after this, he's going to jump and take damage intentionally. There's a cycle. Oh, unfortunately, I think there's a little screen right there. But unfortunately, you have to. Well, you don't have to take damage, but the cycle here is really long, and if you wait it out, you'd be losing a lot of time. Also, you want to have a fire flower for the next boss fight because it's going to be entirely. Some of the hits are going to be very underwater, and you can't hit her underwater unless you're using a fire flower. So that's why you want to get fire flower there. So yeah, it kind of just works out that we can damage boost the cycle. So here's Wendy. The first hit is going to be very basic, the same old, but after that, or not the first hit, I mean, the later hits, but the first hit is completely underwater, so you're going to want to spam her with fireballs. Otherwise, you'd have to wait for the water to go up and down, which is why we want to get fire flower, and not having it is really slow. Yeah, as you can see, he's going to spam her with fireballs. That bouncing O-ring actually can will block your fireballs, so that's why it's like not as easy to just spam one. You kind of have to go up a little bit so you don't get blocked by that thing. And yeah, as you can see, it's just the second and third hits are just very basic. It's just that first hit would be so slow if you didn't have a fire flower. So now there's one more level in World 4, which is a pretty easy level. It's basically just a hold right level until the boss fight. So there isn't all that much to say about it. There is kind of some cycles with the burners, but they're not really the cycles that are present in the other levels, and you'll be damage boosting through some of them. So yeah, this is the last level of World 4. So after this, is World 5. So the start of World 5 is actually very different from 80% because you're not going to have the propeller until a little bit of the way from 5.3. So even if you've already watched or played 80%, this is still not going to be exactly what you're used to seeing. I just see there he intentionally took damage because he's not going to really need the fire flower. So yeah, that's a very straightforward and simple level. You just hold right. So this boss fight, basically, the way it works is that you need to either hit him with the block or land on him 3 times. And the fastest way to do the fight is to basically throw the block at him for the first hit, and then spawn camp him for the second and third hits, just waiting above him to hit him. So as you see, he's gonna wait above him, and then basically be on him when he spawns, and then just do that. Yeah, that's like a very, one of the easiest bosses in the game. So now we're coming up to World 5. So World 5 is not a very easy world. There's some levels where if you get hit, you'll lose a lot of time. Like 5 tower, 5-4, 5-3. So luckily the start of World 5 isn't that bad because we don't have propeller suit for 5-1. So you're probably gonna see him getting ice flower in 5-1. That's going to be useful because it allows him to freeze the piranhas at the end of the level, which will make the ending a little faster. Although I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look in a marathon run. He'll probably do it just fine. So he's going to get ice flower, and then he's going to use that to freeze the enemies in the level, which is really the only reason why you want the ice flower anyway. So if you like the ice flower, hope you enjoy its glory for a little bit here. The star here he's gonna get as well. So with these vines, those vines are kind of like the slopes earlier, where if you return your D-pad neutral, like that was very, very fast right there. If you return your D-pad neutral right after you let go of them, you'll actually conserve your speed a little bit, and it's faster than continuing to hold right. So a 448 is really good there. That was a pretty good 5-1 from BigCheese. So now 5-3. You can actually do 5-3 or 5-2, but if you do 5-2, you're actually not going to be able to get a backup propeller, and it's also just a slower level. So you don't really have much of a choice like you do 80%, because you need the backup propeller you can get in 5-3. But first he's going to have to fight this piranha right here, because he could use a star now, but he's going to want to use a star later on to skip more enemies. So unfortunately he will have to fight this guy. But with all the 80% experience, it's not that big of a deal. He can just blaze right through it. So 5-3, this level is basically going to be starting off where he's going to do the start, very similar to 80%, and then he's going to enter a pipe, get a backup propeller, and then play the rest of the level similar to 80%. And then this is really the first point, or this, I guess excluding the beginning, this is where 80% and this route will actually merge a little bit. Because 5-4 and 5 tower in the end of this level are the exact same as 80%, so if you enjoy 80%, then hopefully you'll enjoy this part of the run. And as you can see there, he has a setup to get that every time, so that's nice. So yeah, here he's basically going to be doing the same movement as 80%. And this is basically going to be the same as 80% until a little bit of the way through the boot house. So 5 tower, as you all probably know, or at least have heard of 5-5-6, the infamous cycle that used to be really, really hard, but now it's not that hard, especially for somebody like BigCheese who's done it thousands of times. But 5 tower, like 5-1, or like 1 tower, is on a cycle, and also like 1 tower, it's like if you miss it, you have to wait an additional extra cycle, so it's really bad if he misses it. It does only lose about 7 seconds if he doesn't get hit, which is obviously in a category like this not a big deal, but at his level 7 seconds really is not something you want to be losing. So, especially on something that he can hit this easily. I guess I should say easily, but this consistently. Okay, so there, he's actually going for a harder version of the cycle called Aztec Cycle. If he gets the instant land like he did there, that actually is incredibly difficult. Like, I can't understate what he just did. Like, that cycle is very, very difficult. Even in any percent, people aren't always doing it in runs, even at like the top level. So doing it in a category like this is very, very good. Like that was one of the most impressive things I've seen in a marathon run for this game. So yeah, very, very good on BigCheese, although he messed up this fight. So this is the first tower fight to not be as simple as just you wait for them to come out because he's moving platforms here. So yeah, he lost a little bit of time with that, but that was still very, very incredible that he hit that cycle. So now we're coming on 5-4. So if BigCheese saves the game here, he probably should save the game because if he dies, he can just reset and try again. But when you're on this kind of pace, he might not. But basically, 5-4 is usually a level where you have to sit and ride a raft for a very long time. But with the propeller mushroom, we can just basically skip over all of it by doing some precise wall jumps and some movement. There's very easy ways of doing it. There's very hard ways of doing it. So hopefully he doesn't mess it up. If he does die and he doesn't save, let's see, is he gonna save? No. So if he dies or he gets hit here, he'll have to play the level without doing the skip, which is very, very long and slow. So let's hope he doesn't mess it up. Yeah, those first wall jumps are actually more scary than they seem because if you go too high up, you'll just hit the enemy. So yeah, that was a good 5-4, so he didn't mess up anywhere. There was a strat you can do that's a little faster, but it's very, very small and very, very likely to go wrong. I honestly was almost expecting him to go for it after he went for Aztec Cycle, but you know what? I can understand not wanting to lose your run. Just going for the 1 second save.
Mario time.
So now is the end of the any percent similarities for a while. So this is the same level that you play 90%, but instead of taking the secret exit to unlock 5 cannon, he's gonna take the regular exit, which will let him go to 5 castle and 5-5, I guess, but he's not gonna be beating that level. And this is gonna be a little different. So the very beginning is gonna be a little bit like 80%, but then after that he's gonna be taking a split path, and not really much else to say. It's just follow the right path and play the level. So yeah. As you saw, instead of going down to the left, he just goes to the right, and then he has to do this room. This room is actually a little weird because you have to basically be doing some blind platforming with the blues in the way because you can't really see with the lights, but it's not that hard, and as long as you have a general idea of the layout of the room, you should be fine like you saw there. So now we're coming up on 5-5. So 5-5 is a very boring and long auto-scroller. And I don't think anybody in their right mind likes this level. At least I can't think of anybody that would any reason to like this level. I guess the manta rays are kind of cool, but other than that, it's a very boring and generic level that it's just not fun. So let's just hope he doesn't die or get hit. And oh, BigCheese. And he unfortunately takes a death. That's gonna probably lose him a lot. Maybe he should just reset and end the run. Oh, I guess he's so disappointed in himself. He's just gonna give up on being the level. Okay, but in all serious, there's vines that will block your path. Those vines that you saw there move around each time you die or beat a level. And if you just play through like you saw him, you actually can't enter this level. You have to take you actually have to take a death or beat a level in order to get the vines to move out the way, and as you can probably guess, taking a death is much faster than just beating a level. So he took a death there intentionally, that way he could move the vines out the way. And he saved that star from earlier to avoid those piranhas. You actually can avoid those piranhas without a star, it's just incredibly unlikely, and he just cheated death there. That was incredible. Oh, unfortunately it was for naught though, because he messed up. So now he's gonna play the level again, this time without a star. He will equip a mushroom, so he'll be a little safe. So yeah, that was a very unfortunate death, especially after that crazy save he had. Unfortunately, that was not an intentional death, Enforcer. So yeah, this run was not that bad as well up until now. Unfortunately, though, any chance of PBing is definitely not alive. So he's gonna get a propeller there. There's a propeller at the end of the level that you would have normally seen him get. But because of that mistake, he kind of had to. He just opted to take that one because now if he gets hit, he can still get the one at the end of the level without having to worry about missing out on it. So yeah, this is a very straightforward level. You just have to grab these fences and jump off them. These things are all in a cycle though, so as long as you know how to play them right. Ooh, that was also a little close there. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, luckily he didn't make any real mistakes the second time through. But that was a really unfortunate death. So here's the Iggy fight. This fight's a little weird because of the way he moves around in circles. He'll basically stop in one spot, and then once a chain chomp moves, he'll get dragged with it. Which means if you're like about to jump and land on him, and then he moves away at the last second, it can be a little disorienting. Luckily, like every other boss fight in this whole game, it's very consistent when he comes back out. So as long as BigCheese does not make any mistakes, he will always know like when to jump and stuff. Like he'll just jump out right there, and then one more time. So as long as everything goes right, this is a pretty simple boss fight. But if you don't know what you're doing, like things go wrong, it can be really weird to back up. So now is arguably the hardest world in the game. You can maybe make arguments for other worlds, but for most people, they agree that this is definitely one of the hardest worlds in the game, which is World 6. One of the reasons why is the very brutal lack of backups. There is not really any backups you can get, basically throughout the whole world. So if you get hit anywhere, you'll have to play the world without propeller, which is really bad, especially for the tower level. That level you really need propeller for. So if you get hit in 6-1 or 6-3, it's really, really, really bad. So let's just hope he doesn't get hit in any of these levels. That would be really bad. But instantly we start off with 6-1, and 6-1's a pretty hard level. If everything goes right, it doesn't look all that bad, and it looks pretty smooth, but if things go wrong, it can be really, really bad. So let's just hope he nails it. You're gonna see him slow down in a second intentionally for this guy on the right there, because that guy will hit you if you like go at him with full speed. And the rest of the level, basically this level is the first level with these like ledges right here. And the way these ledges work is you move like incredibly slow on them. So you're gonna see him avoid them as much as he can. And if he does have to grab them, he's actually gonna drop down, because when you like are moving while hanging off of it, it's faster than while you're like on top of it sliding. As you can see. So there he's gonna. Okay, so that's pretty good. So that jump right there at the end, over the roulette block is actually it's actually not as easy as it looks. It's very easy to under or overshoot it and get hit. But other than that, or not other than that, but despite that, he made it through pretty good and had a pretty decent 6-1. So now 6-3, this is usually regarded as one of the easiest levels in World 6. But if you mess with the cycles, it can be very scary. You can get hit. So it's not an easy level by any means, but it definitely, compared to the rest of the gauntlet that is World 6, it's fairly lenient. So yeah, these piranha plants here are moving on in a cycle up and down, and if you do something like that, because now the cycle is going to be off, and he's going to get hit like that, that's just brutal. So now he's in a really tough spot because he doesn't have a power suit anymore for 6 tower, and 6 tower is really bad without a power suit. There's a good chance he goes to a toad house to get a power back up. But we'll have to see how that looks. So as you can see, he has to swim through this section, and swimming is painfully slow without a penguin suit. So yeah, normally at the end of the level here, he'll use the propeller suit to spin up, but because he can't do that, he's gonna have to go up here and hit the switch. So yeah, very unfortunate mistake.
Oh yeah, Mario time.
Definitely not a mistake you want to be making. So now the question is, how is he going to back it up? Is he going to go back to a mushroom house to get some backup propellers, or is he going to do 6 tower without a propeller? Okay, so he's going to go to World 2. So World 2 has a mushroom house that will spawn. Basically what we'll do is we'll guarantee that you get 2 propellers. So he's probably going to go for them. If he gets lucky, he might get a pattern where he can get a star. I'm not too sure if he'll get the star. But it would probably be a decent idea to have one. So there's a propeller, and there's a mini mushroom. This is actually a really good pattern, because you get a star. So now he's gonna intentionally lose. Anybody wondering how he knows which one it is? Basically the way these mushroom houses work is that you pick the top left to the right one, and then 2 to the right of that, and those tiles will always be safe. And just by those 2 tiles alone, you can tell what the rest of the mushroom house is gonna look like. So he's able to basically, based on those 2 tiles alone, know where every single what every single tile was gonna give him, which is how he was able to not make any mistakes. So yeah, this is 6 tower, another very cycle-based level. Mainly the very beginning here is a cycle that is actually kind of hard to hit. In my opinion, it's actually easier than the ones in 1 tower and 5 tower. As he's doing instant lands there. So as I said earlier, instant lands are usually really, really hard. But on those really big, bulky, semi-solid platforms, they're actually pretty easy. So those weren't as hard as I might have been making at the beginning of the run. So yeah, good 6 tower there. 557 door is really good. So this boss fight is a little hard because of these skewers on the left and right side, and if you get hit by them, it's really bad, obviously. It's not as hard as some of the other fights, but it's definitely one of the harder tower fights just because of these towers, but it's really not all that bad. So yeah, there's 6 tower, another very scary level. And now he's going to be going to 6-5, which is a pretty easy level compared to the other levels. I would definitely say it's one of the easier levels in World 6. It's mostly a hold right level, but he will be taking a secret exit, which will allow him to skip playing 6-6 and take him directly to 6 castle. So the way this level works is there's actually a cycle with the water that he's going to be intentionally slowing down at the beginning of the level, because if he doesn't slow down, he would have to do a slightly slower strat with a spin. So you can see him intentionally slow down a little bit at the beginning of the level to make the water cycle line up. There's also going to be this fish that's going to be chasing him throughout the whole level, and he really doesn't want to get hit by that. Luckily, it's not usually too much of an issue, only if you mess up will he really be that big of an issue. So as you can see, because he stalled at the beginning of the level, he was able to make that jump right there. Otherwise, he'd have to like do a spin and then wall jump, which is a little slower. So as you can see, he's gonna be doing a lot of crouching. If you crouch, jump through these those like if you jump, basically if you with those wall platforms that I talked about in 6-1, if you go on them, you'll lose a lot of speed and it'll be really slow. So he's gonna be trying to like avoid them at all costs, as you saw there. So yeah, that was a good 6-5 from BigCheese. So now we're going to 6 castle. Once again, for what's actually basically 4 levels in a row is a cycle-based level. The second room mainly is on a cycle with how the platforms move. So if he gets a bad cycle, he might have to adjust, and that could be a little bad. But if everything goes right, he'll be in a good spot.
It's a go time. Yeah.
These swing platforms are also in the cycle, but they're pretty easy to play around. And usually you don't make that many big mistakes. So yeah, this is the second room here. There's gonna be a star that you want to grab in this room, but the rolling blocks from above can actually get in your way a little bit, which is like really annoying. But luckily with this cycle, it's not really gonna be an issue. So yeah, another star. And then here's the Morton fight. The Castle Morton fight. So this one, the gimmick of this fight is that he's gonna knock these two walls up on both sides of him, and then you have to wait for them to come down before you can come up and hit him. And then after that, it's like all the other ones where you just wait and then jump on him, and then wait and then jump on him. So not really all that much to say here. About this fight, it's very simple. The boss fights in this game, for the most part, pretty simple and self-explanatory. So let's hope that he doesn't mess this up. Okay, that was a little mistake there, but nothing too bad. He jumped a little early, so he got caught on the wall and he wasn't high enough to clear it. So this is the second to last level of World 6. The next level is Airship. Like before Airship, it's an airship. That's really the only similarity. You also fight Bowser Jr. at the end of it, like all the other airships. But this one is a really long and really boring auto-scroller. And he really doesn't want to get hit, because if you head into the Bowser Jr. fight without propeller, it's really annoying and bad. So he's really going to try his best not to get hit in this level. But obviously, like with all auto-scrollers, there's always a chance that you fall asleep, get hit, and then there goes your run. So let's hope that he doesn't fall asleep in the middle of this auto-scroller. I say that's the hardest part of this auto-scroller, is staying awake.
What? It's a go time.
So as you can see, BigCheese already fell asleep. He lasted longer than I'd expect people to. Oh, he woke up though. Him waking up there might have been more difficult than this level. Let's just hope he doesn't fall asleep again. As you can see, these guys are just throwing wrenches at you. Luckily the game's giving you arrows showing you where to go. And now, this is gate to checkpoint. So, believe it or not, this is only a checkpoint. And he's already been here forever. Let's see if he can wake up again. BigCheese, wake up! Oh, he woke up. Alright, guys. He's not gotten hit yet from falling asleep. Very impressive, I'd say. I'd say falling asleep on this level is a big run killer, and if you can get to the level without falling asleep, that's definitely impressive. Alright, so we're getting kind of close to the end of the level. So this boss fight, normally what you need to do is get in the clown car and ram into him. But as long as he's in a propeller suit, basically what you can do is just fly on him, hit him in the head, and then spawn camp him like you did in the previous Bowser fight. So as long as you have the propeller suit, this is a very easy and simple boss. But if you don't have it, it can be a little janky and annoying. So let's just hope it stays that way. Oh, wow. That's unfortunate. I think he lost like 1 frame there. Runs over. Alright, so he made here with the propeller, so as long as he doesn't do something incredibly stupid, he will not be losing. He won't have to jump into that stupid clown cart. There's 2. And there's 3. Alright, so now he's going to World 7. So World 7, there's actually a huge secret exit that you can take that skips a lot of levels, which is really nice. It skips the second half of 7 Tower, it skips all of 7 Ghost House, it skips all of 7 4, 7 5, and basically all of 7 Castle. So it's a really big amount of levels that you skip. Luckily, World 7 at the start of it has some nice backups that you can get, and 7 Castle also has one that you can get. So it's not too bad like World 6 where there's basically none. So hopefully he doesn't have it, but he did actually get a extra propeller mushroom in the World 2's Toad House. I actually do not know where he's going to use that star he got. I'm not exactly sure if that's been like routed where the best time to use a star is. He might use it after 8 airship or something. But anyway, yeah, this is 7-1, so this is yet another cycle level. Like there's a lot of cycle levels with these moving color things. Luckily, it's not like it's like some of the levels where it's like you can just get completely locked out and you have to wait. It's really just if it's bad, you'll have to do some weird movement to make up for it. As you can see, BigCheese is just not caring about what the game's throwing at him. He's just running through the level anyway. Oh, that's an unfortunate mistake, though. Okay, so he had some small mishaps there, but overall, he didn't get hit or die. And at the end of the day, as long as you don't get hit or die, you're usually in a good spot. So now it's 7-2. 7-2 is a really weird level because it's like there's these like bubbles, I guess is what you could call them, that move up and down, and if you go in them, you'll have to start swimming, and as we all know, swimming is really, really, really bad. So he'll have to try to avoid those best he can, because they're really slow, obviously. There's also some chain chomps that are a little weird to avoid. This level is mostly just a very weird level, I'd say, with how you play it. So unfortunately there, he can't avoid that one, but he can't avoid these 2. And he can avoid these 4. He couldn't avoid that one, unfortunately. And he can't avoid that one, unfortunately. But yeah, as you can see, he's trying to avoid them the best he can. Oh, unfortunate. These chain chomps are really scary sometimes. But for somebody like BigCheese, it's no biggie. So he's having some unfortunate not avoiding these bubbles mistakes, but he didn't get hit, so I guess that's good. And just like that, he's done with 7-2. So 7-3 is the very opposite of 7-2. It's mostly a hold right level with some cool spins and jumps. Nothing really weird like those bubbles in it. It's basically just don't get hit or die. Which is not that easy in this level, because you spend a lot of it in the air over pits, so if you make a bad movement error, or you make it just a mistake in general, it's very easy to make a mistake. But there are backup propellers in this level, in blocks, so it won't be the end of the world if he gets hit like it was in 6-3. So here, he actually has to wait a little bit because he can't make the jump without waiting there, and there's nothing else he can land on. so he had to wait. You'll see that one at a time where he has to wait a little bit because the gap is just too big. Oh, never mind. Oh, that was unfortunate. His stream is unfortunately dying, but just know that you just missed some of the best movement you probably ever see. So, rip. All right, well now we're on the 7th tower. So 7th tower, we only play the first half of the level because in the second half there's a secret exit that we'll take that will take us to 7-6, and like I said earlier, that skips a lot of stuff in World 7. Hopefully he doesn't get hit in this first room. If he gets hit near the end of the level, it's not that big of a deal because the backup in 7 castle, but it will make 7-6 a little more scary. So yeah, this is basically just a somewhat generic vertical level, and like basically every other tower in the game, it's cycle based with the bullet bills when they shoot. But usually it's not that big of a deal if you mess up. See, he's gonna be taking the secret exit, and after that is gonna be 7. Oh, he missed that wall jump right there. Is 7-6, and 7-6 is just another boring auto scroller. At least it's a little engaging because you actually can't just like AFK because you have to like ride these parabeetles around, and it can be a little hard sometimes, but nothing that's like, you know, you can lose or save time on. And luckily, because of the backup pillar in 7 castle, if he gets hit here, it's not really the end of the world. He does have mushrooms from that fish fight. That's actually the one good thing about missing Fishless, is that you actually get mushrooms from him that you can use as backups. So, because if he didn't make any mistakes at this point and had Fishless, he actually would need to have a mushroom entering that level for the backup, I think. So he's gonna have to not get hit. I mean, he would have to. It'd be a lot worse, but because of that Fishless, he has a mushroom backup that he can use, which is really good. So now it's time for another auto scroller. Hope you enjoy Parabeetles. Let's hope BigCheese doesn't fall asleep this time. Come on, BigCheese, I believe in you staying awake. Oh man, he couldn't do it. He fell asleep again. Oh! He's back awake. Oh, I think he fell back asleep again. Oh, he's awake. Alright, well, luckily this one does not feel as long as the one in Six Airship, that's for sure. That one's really just... Oh man, that was a marathon, it feels like. So yeah, after this is 7 Castle. So 7 Castle normally is like a pretty long level with all these viewers and stuff you have to avoid. But in this, we actually take the secret entrance, which is the only level in the game that has a secret entrance, and that basically spawns you right at the boss fight. So we don't have to do any of that nonsense. The only real thing is the stupid super bro that like is guarding the door, but he missed the LCK there. So hopefully that's not an issue, but if it is, you just kill it and then get the backup. So Worst comes to worst, he'll lose a few seconds to getting hit, but then there's the Ludwig fight. So the Ludwig fight, basically what's going to happen is going to be these 3 platforms that it's going to be rising upwards, and he's going to hit him, and then Ludwig's going to like go on his shell, and then he'll jump on him again, which is basically the same as every other boss fight. So it really is more of the same. Not really all that much to say. Alright, so now he got past that Shimmer bro, which is good. So now he gets to go fight Ludwig, and like I said, it's really just like the boss fights in this game are really just the same thing over and over again, honestly. So normally what's supposed to happen is after you hit him, he's supposed to rise in the air and then like hang in the sky for a bit and like try to land on you, and then you try to like avoid him by going to the platform and then go back to the one you just don't want to hit him. And it's supposed to be a little hard, but as you can see, it's really not that difficult if you just stun lock him, which is like kind of honestly, I wish they made the boss fights in this game a little more unique, but that's beside the point. Now is actually World 8. So World 8, aside from the star he's going to use at some point, I assume, it's actually the exact same as any percent. So now this basically the rest of this run is basically just an 80% run at this point.
Wait.
Which is honestly how a decent amount of categories are, like no World 5. Into World 8, it's just beating the world as fast as possible. So if you've seen 80%, it's basically just the same. It's really, you've already seen the rest of this run, but at the same time, in Cannonless, oh, okay, he's using a star now. So yeah, so he used a star there, which is interesting. I'm not sure when the best time is, if it's right there or not. It probably is. So yeah, he's gonna have a star for being slow, which will make the beginning really fast. Unfortunately, though, he did get damaged there. He probably didn't practice the level with the star, and if he did, I'd be very surprised. Luckily, the backup isn't that slow. So in this level, you actually intentionally take damage at the end of the level, which is why it's not really that big of a deal that he got hit there. Yeah, so as you saw, that was he damage boost through those lava geysers because otherwise he had to wait a long amount of time. Oh my god, guys, look, he got 435. New best. So the reason why he took damage is also because the next level is actually better with the small Mario. You want to be able to be small and do the twirls and stuff. So it's honestly a very, very nice coincidence that that level is both faster to take damage on, and the next level after it is better to do with small Mario. So the premise of this level is there's a bunch of rolling hills and there's a bunch of enemies you need to avoid. And he's gonna do his best job to do that. That's really, this level is very self-explanatory. He will actually be doing those crouch jumps I was talking about earlier against the hills that like try to hold his momentum and slow him down by going to the left. So you'll see him doing some crouch jumps, but that's really it's mostly just having good movement. Also, there's a really cool strat here where you grab the star. That normally if you watch people play the game, they'll do it from the top. That's RSG, where you got it from the bottom. It's a tiny bit faster. So this has been a pretty good 8-2. So yeah, that was a very, very solid 8-2. Usually you don't see those kind of 8-2s in a category this long, so I'm impressed. So coming up now is basically an auto scroller. The screen doesn't actually automatically scroll, but you have to wait around the bone coaster. By the way, that secret exit there, he took that secret exit that skips 8-2, 8 tower, or not 8-2, 8-3, 8 tower, 8-4, 8-5, and 8-6. So it skips a lot of levels. But he does have to play 8-7, which is a pretty slow and long level because of the auto scroller, but it's a lot faster than taking the other levels, which is why he took the secret exit in 8-2. So there's basically 2 ways to play this level. You can either get a mushroom or get a fire flower. It's actually slightly faster to get a fire flower, but it does make this first room a little more risky because if you do get hit by something, you'll actually just like die, as opposed to just getting hit and losing a bit of time. We still do need to get the color mushroom in the next level, which is 8 airship, and we want to have a mushroom entering that level. Normally if you get fishless, it's actually pretty scary because if you don't have a mushroom entering the level, if you just like die, you'd be in a bad spot. But luckily, I guess unluckily because he got bad luck, but he does have some extra mushrooms in the back end if he does mess up at the end of the level, which is really good. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to do the fire flower route, which is a little faster. And basically what you do is you get a fire flower from the coin ring, and that makes some wall jump to the end of the level a little faster. But like I said earlier, not only is it a little risky for this room, but it also is not the easiest thing to do, even with the wall jump, so it makes sense that he opted to get a mushroom in that first room. So yeah, almost all the time loss and time saving this level comes from all the stuff you do in between the coasters, which is actually kind of hard because you have to make sure you jump off the coaster as early as possible, land on the next one as early as possible, and have all your movement in between be really clean. So here's the end of the level. Basically, it's going to be just jump to the flagpole as early as possible without getting hit by the guys at the very end. Like that was pretty good. So 3-3-7 with that mishap at in the middle of the first room. That's pretty decent. So here's 8 airship. This level's pretty scary. In this category, bombless isn't as prevalent as it is in 80%, so it's not as scary in that aspect, but at the same time, you have to play a pretty hard level at the very end of an hour-and-a-half long run, so it can definitely be pretty daunting. And just like that, you can get crushed. So now he's gonna have to get a mushroom from that block. Normally that'd be propeller right there. So now he's gonna get another block right there, which isn't that big of a time loss, but definitely is kind of a painful one to take. You could have also got crushed there and died. So he's very lucky that he only got away with one. And here's yet another cycle where he has to wait here. This cycle begins as soon as you like load this, so it's not like messing up at the beginning doesn't lose time. You have to like wait the same amount anyway. You actually can skip that, but it's task only, or you have to do multiplayer, so not really anything that will happen in this run. So as you can see, he's gonna be doing some pretty big jumps and some pretty big spins, I guess. I'm not really too sure how else to explain these very self-explanatory and simple skips. Now there's a crouch jump here that's deceptively difficult that he'll probably be going for. Right there, as you saw, he missed it. That's not a very easy crouch jump to do, actually. Pretty tight. He got through the end of the level. He almost got hit there. He tried to skip that wall jump right there, which is a little faster, but it's pretty tight. So he unfortunately did not get it. And now here's Bowser Jr. So this is the infamous bombless. So obviously, the strat is to just ground pound and then launch the bomb into him. But if you can ground pound in a very certain window, you'll notice that he oscillates up and down. If you can ground pound when he's very low in his oscillation, you can actually barely see if you can hit him. It's a very tight window, and he got the first hit right there. And he had the second hit, so that is coding double bombless. That is optimal. That is very, very difficult, so... I don't know how he's feeling. He could be really happy that he hit it, but at the same time, it's on a run that doesn't really have a chance of PBing, so he might be a little upset. But at the same time, hitting code double bombless in the run is really, really good. That is very, very difficult. That kills a lot of runs, so... Very impressive. The fact that he got that and Aztec Cycle makes this run very, very, very good, despite all the mistakes he's had. Like that's very, very cool that he's got those. So now it's coming up on the last level of the game, which is so 8 Castle is basically a gauntlet. It has 5 rooms in it, or I'm sorry, 4 rooms in it. The third room isn't really anything. It's just like basically just run up to the door and open it. The first room is decently difficult. There are, once again, cycles that you have to worry about with the fire bars and the potaboos moving up and down. So hopefully it doesn't get hit here. Luckily, getting hit isn't too bad in a run like this, because there's a backup color you can get, although you won't be able to do the skip that hopefully he'll be able to get. But let's see if he gets to this room first without getting damaged. So that potaboo right there, you actually just slow down for. That's why his movement wasn't perfect. If he had perfect movement there, he would have gotten hit by that potaboo. And then he has to go into that. So as you can see, good first room. This second room is the is an auto scroller. He has to wait. As long as you fall asleep, you shouldn't die. Or get really greedy at the end. Oh no, BigCheese fell asleep. Oh. I think he's playing in his sleep, guys. Alright, as you saw there, he entered the pipe when it was barely on screen, so that was a really, really close pipe entry, but he didn't die. So now we have the final part of the run. So this is, basically the way this is going to be is, there's going to be these fireballs that Bowser shoots that are completely RNG. You basically have a very, very, very low chance, I think it's a little worse than 1 in 50, that you actually lose time to that, because every pattern but one, you can actually get through without losing any time at all. So that's really all to say about that. It's not getting hit and then spinning with Bowser and landing on the switch. So now there's a strat here, which basically you can skip the fireball section here by doing a glitch by clipping into the top of the screen. It is decently hard though, because you have to spin in a somewhat precise window, and we all know how spins are. Precise motion controls are never fun. And even if he gets that, he still has to actually crouch into a little gap and then jump out and run across the top. So if he does all that well, he will save some time here. Let's see if he gets it. Okay, so that was good, and he got it. So as you saw there, he basically went into that gap and then uncrouched and started pushing Mario to the right, and then he jumped and got over the top of the screen. And that saves about 10 seconds. So let's see if he can clutch out the rest of the run. This is basically just a run, a whole run section. Very simple. I mean, it's not an easy section, but it's very simple. There's nothing, it's not much complicated stuff happening. He just basically runs in the level. He's having some difficulty here. And with that, time. GG's BigCheese.
Alright. Yeah. It's fun.
Aztec Cycle, Code Double Bombless. Can you really go wrong with that?
Pretty any percent like run.
80% with extra steps.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Well, yeah. If you have any closing remarks or shout-outs or anything, now's your time.
I want to thank GTA's for putting this on. He had to deal with a lot of schedule stuff with me, so I appreciate him dealing with that. Yeah, that's about it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, thanks for doing the run, and yeah, I guess we'll get set up for the next one.
Thank
Alright,
you.
thanks for having us.